He said, يُبَاحُ لِمَنْ أَرَادَ خِطْبَةَ الْمَرْأَةِ وَغَلَبَ عَلَى ظَنِّهِ إِجَابَتُهُ. It's permissible for a man who wants to propose to a woman, and it's fairly safe to assume, and he believes that he's confidently fair in believing that that she's going to respond favorably, that the wali will respond favorably and she will respond favorably to his proposal, meaning it's likely that I'll marry her. Then in that case, نَظَرَ مَا يَظْهَرُ غَالِبًا. Then he looks at whatever is normally apparent from her. And what that means is within her house. Within her house, maybe around her house, where she would be in privacy amongst her family, she would be relaxed with her hijab. She would not be dressed as she's going out of the house to the market or something. But how would she be dressed? We're talking about good, modest people. She wouldn't be wearing a bikini because she's not out of her house. She wouldn't be wearing scandalous things. She's going to be wearing what? Like a house dress. She may have her arms to the elbows uncovered. Her hair would be out. She may have a dress like mid-calf. According to the culture, this is respectable dress for the women in the house, in a Muslim household. Just because she's not required to wear hijab doesn't mean that a woman is going to be in her house with tiny little shorts and, barely anything on. So in a respectable culture, you're going to have a woman with generally modest dress, even when she's not covering to go out. So when a man sees this, as the scholars say, he may hide behind a tree and view her within her house with some conditions. As the Shaykh mentions here, the first condition is غَلَبَ عَلَى ظَنِّهِ إِجَابَتُهَا, that it's very likely that there would be a successful acceptance of this proposal. This is not a man who's out of his league going to propose to some woman that he's almost sure she would never marry him. A rich woman with a poor man, or a highly educated woman to a man with no education, something that most likely in terms of culture, that's not going to happen. These people are not going to come together in marriage. So for him now looking at her, what's the ruling on that? Haram, impermissible, like looking at any other woman here. There's no basis for him to look at a woman without her hijab on here in this case. This is only for when there is an assumption of a possible marriage going on. In terms of manners, we won't call them conditions, but manners. Secondly, that she doesn't know about the viewing. This preserves the modesty of the woman and the honesty of the view. The modesty of the woman and the psychology of the woman too. And the honesty of the view. What do I mean by that? She's not dressing up for you. She's not going to look really nice because she's being viewed. This is just how she is in the house. That's what you need to know. You're going to marry this woman. You don't need to see her best look, how she's going to look the first night you're with her. You need to see the daily routine. That's going to be your wife in your house. So is this the kind of woman I want to see in my house all the time? So you want the average everyday view. You don't want the special dressed up prepared view. So that keeps the view honest. And also, what if you look at her and you decide against it? She doesn't have to know. A man came and looked and he wasn't happy with you. I guess he thinks you're ugly. And a woman cries. And a woman is affected by this. He doesn't want me? If she'd ever even knew about it, when the man says, you know what, I'm going to look at other options, she never has to be hurt. She never has to be harmed. So it protects her modesty and her psychology. She's rather a modest woman in her house. So her modesty is protected, her psychology, her emotions are protected, and the man is protected from a dishonest presentation. Right? Compare that to the so-called sit-downs of the West, where the woman comes dressed up or made up or prepared, and the men too are guilty. They each present themselves as way better than they really are. Mashallah, I read books every day, 2-3 hours in Islam, and I attend lectures online every single day, and I'm so busy memorizing Quran. Why are you saying all of these things when it's not true? You want to build a marriage upon zur, upon dressed up falsities and false images? Let the people know who you are. This is really who I am. This is how many hours I do this, and this is my day. And be honest, and be clear and frank and open and transparent, so that you really know what you're getting into, they really know what they're getting into. But for some reason, the shaitan inspires people at this time to pretend to be who they're not, to pretend to be so pious. You're just setting yourself up for disappointment, because if someone believed all of that, then they're going to be very disappointed. if you're hyping yourself up with all of this image that's not really there. You're setting yourself up for disappointment, no doubt. Be realistic.